mean, if we keeping the buck right now, we ass. So we 0-4. We have this point. We got nothing to lose. We dropped a quarter of our games, and we've yet to do anything. So we have to lock in, especially myself on the offensive line, from the defensive line, from the special teams to all three faces. We have to play together. We have not played together this year yet, and that's just something that we want to preach about it every day. Every day we got to do better, and we're doing that, but it has to show up on Sundays. It hasn't showed up yet, but it got to show up next week.
I don't know who's spicier, Pete Prisco, Damien Harris, or Cam Ward.
That's good stuff. I mean,
but that is, right? I mean, when you have a rookie quarterback and he's kind of laying it all out there, right? He's like, look, it is what it is. We're 0-4. We just lost to the Texans. I mean, Pete, what is there to be excited about? What is the goal for Tennessee this year? When you look at them, they're 0-4. Cam Ward, now the 5th different number 1 overall pick to get shut out as a rookie.
Get him better. Make things better, make it easier on him. He's not playing very well. Let's be honest about it. He's the number 1 overall pick in the draft, and you haven't heard a lot of criticism of him yet, strangely, because there should be. I'm disappointed with what I see. But there's a lot around him that's not going right. The offensive line isn't very good. They don't run the ball. The receivers aren't scaring anybody down the field. And so you look at it and you say, okay, it's easy to blame him, but really it's big picture. And I think when you look at the big picture, that team is a mess right now, and I think changes are coming. I think Brian Callahan's in trouble. I really do. And I do think that they're going to make a change at some point if things don't turn around. You don't score any points on the road against a division rival, particularly the Texans. That's something that really sets off, warning shots, I think, to him, and I think the organization is going to look at it.
Well, they absolutely will, and more importantly than going on the road, not scoring any points against a division rival, when we watch this Tennessee Titans team play, they don't look inspired. They don't look like they're out there to play for anything. They look like they're out there just, going through the motions, collecting a sweat, as Bill Belichick used to say it. Like, we're just not seeing any competitive fire. Cam Ward, we can talk about it, not playing very well. 10 for 26, 108 yards, an interception. That's not good. Tony Pollard, you signed him to a nice, lucrative contract. He hasn't delivered this year. I mean, he had 14 carries for 64 yards. I mean, I know 4.6, that is a good yard per carry. But again, you're not affecting the game in a way that scares defenses and makes the pass game easier. I mean, you just signed Calvin Ridley to a boatload of money, 2 catches for 30 yards. So yes, Pete Prisco, it is in totality. The defense, too, because let's not act like this Texans team wasn't having trouble scoring points as well. You give up 26 points to a Houston Texans offense that they're not really in a rhythm right now either. So when you look at it big picture, I do think Callahan is in trouble just because this is just an uninspired football team when you watch them play. There's no competitive fire. There's no spirit. There's no leadership from guys like Cam Ward, who was the number 1 pick, a guy like Jeffrey Simmons, who is the man and the anchor in the middle of the defense. There's just no competitive juices in Tennessee right now.
What I can't figure out is, this is going to be me saying something because of last year I thought he would be good. I thought Will Levis could be good. Will Levis played just like Cam Ward, and everybody just crucified the guy.
Well, when you put mayonnaise in your coffee, it's hard to bounce back.
I'm talking about from a football standpoint. From a football standpoint, he was no worse than Cam Ward is right now, and he had nothing going for him either. So when you look at it, I mean, you look at the numbers. Was he worse? I mean, think about that. He's better. And yet, this guy went 1st overall, so he's getting a pass. That guy went the 2nd round, so he got none. And so I think the Titans have a problem organizationally. Neither one of them had much around them where they could absolutely succeed. I think they had problems. The offensive line issues have been a problem there for a while. Despite the fact they have supposedly have one of the best offensive line coaches in the league and Callahan's father. But until that all fixes around them, the quarterback's going to have problems. I don't care who they are.
Is it fair to say that Will Levis did more with less?
It's less and less. I don't think either one of them right now has more. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, it's all. You said it best. Like, it's very uninspiring right now, it feels like, in Nashville. But something else you said, Damien, that I want to bring Rand in on is the other side of this matchup, right? It was not very good football from the Houston Texans. This was a 6-0 ball game going into the 4th quarter, and it was 6 because of field goals, not because of touchdowns. So, Rand, what do you think changed for Houston in that 4th quarter, and did it change your perspective on what this team can look like going forward?
I think for this Houston Texans team, we felt like the offense was going to take a next step, right? You move on from Bobby Slowick, you bring in Nick Caley. You bring him in to coordinate the offense, and you start to give C.J. Stroud more. So we expected this offense to really take off, and it hasn't. but this defense has been lights out. It has been keeping people from scoring. And so we saw a little bit of that today in terms of holding the Titans' offense to 0 points. But I think having C.J. Stroud in the day, 22 for 28 for 233 yards and 2 touchdowns, should be the point to get them to going. And we saw they got the young running back Marks going, right? And that's been a focal point for this Houston Texans offense, is being able to run the football. And when it got time, when you needed to have that close the door moment, they were able to score 2 touchdowns on the ground late to put the game away.
Yeah, and look, they have to get guys like Marks going because Chubb is slow, and you need some speed on that team. They're a slow team across the board. You look at them, they're not very fast. And so I think they're another team, their offensive line has been a major problem. You know how many sacks the Titans had today? Not a one. 0. If you're playing that offensive line and you don't get sacks, you got problems on the other side of the ball as well.
We're going to go a little rapid fire here with a couple of these other games because there's a lot to get into, but I don't want to spend too much time. So I'm going to go, let's talk about the Falcons getting a big win over the Commanders today. Pete, I'll come to you. What stood out about the Falcons?
Michael Penix played much better, and you want to see how a guy in his early part of his career responds after just a dreadful performance last week, and he responded in a big way. And he made some plays down the field. And that's the biggest thing that comes out of that game. He was capable of hitting the big shot. He hit some big shots. You look at those numbers, that's outstanding. So I think that's, personally to me, that was the biggest takeaway from that game is Penix responded.
Hey, outside of Penix, something that just keeps popping up in my mind every time I watch this Atlanta Falcons team, Bijan Robinson is making a case to be the best running back in the National Football League. He's explosive, he's fast, he's versatile, he's just as effective in the pass game as he has as a runner. And again, I'll keep emphasizing it. I'll pound the table for running backs as much as I can. Michael Penix's best friend should be, outside of the offensive lineman, should be Bijan Robinson, because he is a threat that takes a lot of pressure off of your reads, takes a lot of pressure off how you mentally have to dissect the defense and see what they're doing. Because a lot of times, I'm telling you, when a defense is playing against Bijan Robinson, he is their prime suspect. So kudos to Bijan Robinson and the success that he's having. And if he continues, this Atlanta offense can continue to just get better and better each week.
First player with 300 or more rushing yards and 250 receiving yards in the first 4 games since 2011 for Bijan Robinson. All right, we got to pick up the pace just a little bit here, Damien. I'm going to give you first word, but I'm going to give you a minute to talk about the Patriots and what they were able to do against the Panthers today.
Well, first of all, they manhandled them, and they did it at home, which is really encouraging. I mean, Drake May played clean football. That's what they're expecting. That's what they want. The running backs played a clean game. No fumbles. That is the most important part. Ball security is job security. We know that. They fixed those issues. It was great to see Ramondre Stevenson still in the lineup, still out there as a starting running back. They know how important he is to this team. They know what the player he is can bring to the organization. And the defense played lights out. They held Carolina to 13 points, and they just played a great game all across the board.
There we go. Clocking in there at that buzzer. Rand, let's see if we can clean this one up here. The Lions, they have now started 3-1 over the last 3 seasons. Really good stuff coming from Dan Campbell's crew and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, Amon-Ra, he got in the end zone, twice today, and you were able to get Jahmyr Gibbs going. I think he finished just under 100 yards. Now, listen, the way they performed today wasn't them lighting up the scoreboard like we've seen them have in previous weeks. But again, and I keep saying, and I know I'm probably sounding like a broken record at this point, but it's finding different ways to win football games. And you got to appreciate that. And then our guy, Aiden Hutchinson, getting 2 sacks today, I believe it was. So it's just this defense continuing to come around under the tutelage of Kelvin Shepard, which is only going to match this offense as they get later in the year, and then they're playing complete football.
Look, the Lions can win a bunch of different ways. Today they won with special teams and defense. They had a punt return for a touchdown, which really kind of won the game for them because Jared Goff, who had come in as the completion percentage leader in the league, didn't have a good game today. And so it shows how good they are as a football team.
Have you seen enough of Joe Flacco?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I mean, I think the Browns, with that defense, will stay in games. But you get a couple more games this way, I think you're going to go to Dylan Gabriel.
I'll say this. We know what Flacco is. And I think it's time to see these young guys because right now they have the formula. They have a really good defense and they have a good ground game. And so now you know what Flacco is going to bring at this point. I think it's time to see what these young guys have so you can decide what your future is going to be come next April.
Lord knows they have enough quarterbacks to try something different for sure. Got to hit another break here on Game Day Recap. I've been dreading this all show long, but we're going to give you an update of Sunday Night Football. And how about this? My Cowboys are back, baby. They just got into the end zone. I believe it was a Dak Prescott QB keeper, so we are in The mix here trailing the Packers 13-9. Guys, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, and the Packers look like they're leaving points on the board. They got 160 yards passing and 13 points.
Well, let's hope they leave them off the board. We'll be right back on Game Day Recap as Sunday Night Football hits the halfway point. We also hit a break. And when we come back, we talked about Ashton Jeanty earlier in the show, how special he was, why he gets someone's nod as their winner when you come back to Game Day Recap.